And all about trip planning for Disney parks coast to coast, and given the fact that we are in a situation where so many are wondering about the future of their trips and what's going to be happening, we wanted to take a moment to really zero in on the best times of year to reschedule your vacation. Obviously, Disney parks are closed at the moment due to the COVID-19 virus, and so there are a lot of questions out there as to like, should I reschedule? When should I reschedule? So joining me here today for this segment, Tyler Crouch and Katrina Manzone of AttractionFaction.net. And our dear friend, Walt Disney World reporter, Mr. Garrett Hassel, also on lockdown. Guys, when it comes down to a time of year, maybe to go ahead and reschedule a trip or maybe to forecast out, I'm just interested in, what your favorite times of year to visit are and what you would recommend to somebody looking to reschedule a trip that may have had it in sort of the spring break category. I'm certainly somebody that had a trip coming up in May, and the stay-at-home order was extended by the Florida state government into the beginning of May, and who knows what will happen, but as of right now, it looks like potentially Disney parks may reopen come the beginning of June, and that's all very much, still up in the air, but that's certainly something that, from a planning perspective, they're allowing reservations to take place then. So what would you say, Tyler? We'll go to you first. When it comes to rescheduling a trip, when do you think you would suggest somebody do it?
Personally, for me, my favorite time of year, period, to go to Disney World and just the whole theme park world over there in general is October. And also kind of extend it through November, I think is also a good time to go. But October is such a fun time to go. Not only is the weather so much better than most of the year, but also you have all the fun Halloween stuff going on. There's, now I know they start that in September too, but who needs that hot September business? I think October is a fun time to go because of the Halloween stuff mostly, and it also for some reason it feels just not as crazy. I know it's always crazy in Disney World now, but it just feels not so insane to me as maybe like this March during the spring break times and June and things like that. Summer it gets really nuts around then. So. And then the weather again. I know I've said weather like 3 times, but I cannot overstate how horrible Florida is during those times.
It's a big factor.
And of course, you can go over to Universal Studios and go see Halloween Horror Nights if that's your thing too, and that's an amazing event. So I think that October for me is a really perfect time.
Would you say the same would be suggested for somebody's Disneyland vacation?
Yeah, I actually do. I think, especially now that they've kind of changed up the party this past year, they have the party over in California Adventure now, and it's like the Oogie Boogie Bash, and it's a lot of fun. We love going there, and of course, again, for the 4th time, the weather. The weather is just so much nicer. So I think that if you're in a spot right now, and you're not really sure when you should go, October seems to me that it's going to be far enough out that hopefully we can be past all this by the point in October. I don't want to. I've heard news that like China is now going through like a second rush of COVID-19 again. So hopefully that doesn't happen to us. We just need to stay inside and stay safe, and we'll get back to our fun soon enough.
Katrina, are you much the same mind, or do you differ at all?
Well, our thing was when we first started dating was always go to Disney World in October because like the weather was pretty good. It's still kind of humid, because in California we're used to dry heat, not humidity. So it really kicks my butt when we go there. And like Powerade is your friend. So you just mix a little bit of Powerade and water and just carry it along with you and you're like golden. But I am like a Christmas person. I love Christmas. So like Tyler said, our happy spot is at the end of October, and then you kind of like extend it maybe a couple days into November, probably around like November 4th, because then you get like best of both worlds. So he gets his like Halloween stuff and he goes to Halloween Horror Nights, and that's like my free day to like lay and chill in the hotel. And then November 1st is when I put on my Christmas sweater and I'm like going for it in the parks. And then I'm super stoked. And then the castle's all set in Christmas attire. And then it's kind of like this like magical moment from like October 31st for Halloween and then the next morning you wake up and it's all gone.
That's definitely true.
And then there's like Christmas decorations happening and you're like, what just happened?
Right.
And then that's like when full-blown Crazy Katrina comes out with Christmas stuff. So that's like a good spot. End of October, beginning of November, or like the first couple weeks of like December. So like December 1st through like maybe the 15th is like the sweet spot. I think we've done that once too, where it wasn't that much, that like it wasn't too crowded, but you still get all the Christmas decorations and the weather is pretty nice too.
Well, and several within our live chat are saying much the same thing. October, November is kind of their favorite sweet spot. Let's jump to Garrett. Garrett, you know, being sort of Florida based and being somebody that lives through the seasons year to year, is there a time that you would suggest people come and visit or reschedule their trips?
Absolutely. July. The middle of July is the best time you can come to Walt Disney World because, you know, you're going to lose a lot of weight just from the humidity alone. I'm kidding. Please
dropping that water weight. Mm-hmm.
No, the rule with Florida in the summertime is if you can survive a summer in Florida, you can live there whenever, because it's miserable. You feel like you're never dry. You take a shower on Monday, you're wet throughout the entire week. The best time to go to Florida is going to be late October into November. That's a good time. And then late January is also good because in January, everyone's in school because they just had their winter break. So that is the best time because the lines are less. Sure, the parks close a little bit earlier, but late January, early February is a great time just because everyone's in school. And if you go in the middle of the week, you can do everything. You can easily go on Flight of Passage with only an hour wait instead of a 2.5 hour wait. So that would be my suggestion to my friends out there. If you want to come visit me in Florida, come out in January or late November. If you really want to see the Christmas decorations, then November is it. But if we're going to Disneyland, I'd say October is good in Disneyland just because SoCal, the weather is perfect pretty much year round. And Halloween over at Disneyland is so different than out here because it's so much, I think it's better out there because you get Haunted Mansion Holiday, which is just a breathtaking experience.
That's true.
And then Monsters After Dark. The first time I went on that 3 times because I was just blown away by it. It's so cool. Tower of Terror is amazing, but when you do Guardians of the Galaxy, Mission Breakout, especially Monsters After Dark, it destroys Tower of Terror. It really does.
So it kind of sounds to me like everybody across the board from a Walt Disney World perspective says that, you know, stay away from summer. Don't go in the dead of summer. Don't go when it's bloody hot and storming and disgusting and humid and it feels like, you know, the surface of hell. But I'll tell you one person that I'm kind of assuming enjoys that time of year, Carol Baskin. All right, that about wraps up everything in terms of our We Be Trippin' segment and when we would plan on perhaps rescheduling a trip. We hope that you appreciated the information. Hopefully you'll reschedule, it sounds like, for mainly October, the beginning of November. It's kind of like everybody's zeroed in spot right there, right? We hope that helps, and perhaps, you know, you're somebody that can still take a trip this year, and you have that flexibility, and maybe you can move it into the Halloween season.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.